This episode contains discussions of graphic violence, death, animal cruelty, and themes of grief, trauma, and revenge. Listener discretion is advised. You can only push a man so far. And for John Wick, they pushed too far. He was out, the boogeyman, retired, a ghost the underworld feared but no longer saw. Then they took the last thing that tethered him to peace, a gift from his wife, a symbol of love, of healing, and they killed it. In that moment, they didn't just kill a dog, they resurrected death. They woke a legend cloaked in mourning and soaked in gunpowder. John Wick doesn't just kill because he enjoys it. He kills because the world asked if he still could. This isn't just a revenge story. It's a war against grief, memory, and the myth of peace. It's the price of legacy, paid in blood. Before the name became legend, before the body count became folklore, John Wick was a man in mourning. He wasn't born in blood, but he was baptized in it, raised in the shadows of death, trained by those who didn't blink when they pulled the trigger. His mentors didn't teach him to survive. They taught him to disappear others, to erase existence with frightening precision. His reputation didn't come from noise. It came from silence, from the calm before the storm, from jobs done so clean, so surgical, they felt more like whispers than warnings. You don't hire John Wick to send a message. You hire him to end the conversation. And yet, the most dangerous killer in the world walked away. Not because he was weak, but because he dared to dream of something more. A life beyond the bloodshed. A life with her. Love didn't tame the monster. It gave him peace, a home, a reason to put the gun down. But peace is fragile when you live in a world that worships violence. Fragile and resented. They took from him the one thing that symbolized his future, a final gift from his wife, a quiet dog, a symbol of love, grief, and hope. And in killing it, they resurrected something far worse than the man they thought they could mock. They didn't awaken John Wick. They summoned the Baba Yaga. This isn't a redemption story. It's not about finding peace. It's about what happens when the world refuses to let peace exist. This is the story of a man who did everything right to walk away, only to be pulled back by arrogance, cruelty, and the ghost of who he used to be. This is the story of John Wick. Revenge doesn't happen in a vacuum. It erupts through systems, tears through structure like a bullet through flesh. And in John Wick's world, that structure is ancient, precise, bound by blood and coin. A world where criminals don't just survive, they thrive under order. Where killers dine under chandeliers and execution is scheduled with a handshake. The Continental isn't just a hotel. It's a sacred ground, neutral soil in a world built on blood, a sanctuary where murder is forbidden, not by morality, but by mutual interest. Then there's the high table, a council of unseen hands that govern everything. They don't care about loyalty, they care about balance. Their laws are old, unyielding, enforced with absolute cruelty. And somehow, John Wick thrived in that world. Because he understood it. Because he followed the rules. He didn't need chaos. He didn't seek drama. He was efficient, precise, professional. But when he asked to leave, the rules changed. They let him go once, at a cost, a task no man should have survived. And still, he completed it, bought his freedom in blood. But peace is offensive to a system built on obedience. And when they took his last piece of peace, they expected him to take the loss quietly. They forgot who they were dealing with. At first, it was personal. A dog, a car, a symbol of grief, stolen by a foolish boy who didn't know whose name he just crossed. But vengeance is never clean, not in a world with rules. Kill the son of a crime lord, and you start a war. Refuse a marker, and you break tradition. Accept it, and you become a pawn again. John tried to play by the rules one last time, but the rules didn't care about justice. They only cared about control, and so he broke them. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was rebellion. Not against a man, not even against a family, but against a world that tried to bury him under the very code it once praised him for honoring. And in breaking the rules, John Wick didn't lose his place in the system. He became something the system feared, a legend without a leash. Legacy isn't always something you choose. Sometimes it's something that's forced onto you. And for John Wick, that legacy is soaked in grief, loss, and inevitability. He didn't ask to become a symbol. He didn't want to be remembered as a ghost in a suit with a gun. He wanted to be a man who got out, who had a home, a wife, a future. But when vengeance called, it stripped that humanity away piece by piece. The deeper he went back into the world, the more that old name, Baba Yaga, reclaimed him. Every name he kills brings him closer to becoming an idea rather than a man. A story told in whispers, traded over bar counters and underworld boardrooms. They don't speak of his pain. They don't speak of his grief. They speak of what he can do with a pencil. And yet, beneath that legend is still a man who never stopped hurting, a man who never wanted this path. But once you become a myth, it's hard to live like you're anything else. He's not chasing justice anymore. He's surviving legacy. And the tragedy is that every bullet he fires only etches the legend deeper into stone. John Wick is a man fighting through layers of meaning. To some, he's a warning. To others, he's a weapon. But to himself, he might still be the husband who lost everything. And in the quiet between gunshots, that's a cost no one else sees. Becoming a name when all you wanted was to be a man. Revenge stories usually follow a familiar rhythm. A wrong is done, a path is chosen, a reckoning comes, and at the end, maybe there's peace. Maybe the avenger lays down the sword, maybe the blood stops flowing. But John Wick's story doesn't offer that comfort. There is no peace waiting at the end of his war, because every time he tries to stop, someone pulls him back in. Every time he fights to live, someone reminds him that he was only ever meant to kill. Redemption implies forgiveness. It implies a return to something pure. But what do you do when there's nothing left to return to? He lost the woman who gave him purpose. He buried the last gift she left him. And now, every step he takes is away from the life he fought to build. This isn't justice. This isn't closure. This is survival through elimination. One target at a time. One rule shattered after another. And the more he kills, the more alone he becomes. No allies, no safe havens. Not even his name belongs to him anymore. He is hunted by the world he helped build, and yet he keeps going. Not because it will make things right, but because vengeance is the only thing left that makes sense. John Wick isn't trying to be redeemed. He's trying to finish the story, because deep down, he knows it only ends one way. John Wick's story began with love. A man broken by loss, given a second chance through grief and memory. But when that memory was violated, he didn't just seek justice. He became vengeance itself. He's not a villain, but he's no longer a man. He's a myth forged in gunfire and grief. A ghost in a tailored suit, leaving bodies in his wake and blood on every floor he walks. He could have stopped. He had chances. But how do you stop when there's nothing left to stop for? He doesn't want forgiveness. He doesn't want redemption. He wants the world to know that some debts can only be paid in blood. So here's the final question. Is John Wick a man clinging to purpose in a world that stripped him of meaning? Or is he the consequence of a world that taught him the only language it understands? When the system creates a killer, should it be surprised when he turns his weapon back on it? Thank you for joining us on Revenge and Madness. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share your thoughts with us. Next time, we dive into another story where justice collides with obsession and vengeance refuses to stay buried. Until then, remember, some stories don't end in peace, they end with the last bullet.